Rita sat on her bed staring at her phone long after the mysterious call had ended. The room was quiet, but her mind wasn't. The stranger's words kept replaying in her head. Ask him why he suddenly returned to Nigeria after living abroad for years. Ask him what really happened there. That man is not who you think he is. Rita looked at the number again. Unknown number. No name. No clue. Nothing. Joy noticed her troubled expression and moved closer. You're still thinking about that call? Rita nodded slowly. I can't stop. Joy sat beside her. Maybe it's just someone trying to cause trouble. Maybe. But what if it's not? The possibility hung heavily in the air. For the first time since she met Ethan, Rita felt uncertain. Not because she didn't trust him, but because she realized there were many things she didn't actually know about him. The expensive gift. The luxury car. The mansion. The sudden proposal. Everything had happened so quickly. Had she been so caught up in the romance that she forgot to ask important questions? Just then, Isabella walked into the room carrying shopping bags. She stopped when she noticed the serious mood. What happened now? Joy looked at Rita. Rita looked at Joy. Neither spoke immediately. Isabella frowned. Why are both of you looking at me like that? I got a strange phone call, Rita finally said. What kind of call? Someone warned me about Ethan. Immediately, Isabella raised both hands. Please don't look at me. Nobody had accused her. Yet she sounded defensive. Why would we look at you? Joy asked. Because anytime anything happens involving Ethan, somehow I become the suspect. Joy exchanged a glance with Rita. The timing is suspicious. Isabella's eyes widened. Wow. I'm not saying it was you. But you're thinking it. Rita sighed. Honestly, I don't know what to think. For the first time, Isabella seemed genuinely offended. I don't know anything about that call. The room became quiet. Eventually, Rita stood up. I need to talk to Ethan. Now? Joy asked. Yes. Be careful. Rita nodded and grabbed her bag. Half an hour later, she arrived at Ethan's house. The security guards already knew her and allowed her in immediately. When Ethan saw her, he smiled. My fiancée. Normally, those words would have made her smile. Today, they didn't. Ethan immediately noticed. What happened? We need to talk. His smile faded. What is it? Rita sat down slowly. Can I ask you something? Anything. Did you live abroad? For a brief second, Ethan froze. The reaction was small. Very small. But Rita noticed it. Who told you that? The answer surprised her. Not because of what he said, but because he didn't simply say yes or no. Did you? Ethan leaned back. Yes. Rita stared at him. You never told me. It never came up. Never came up. Rita. You proposed to me. The hurt in her voice was obvious. And somehow where you spent years of your life never came up. Ethan sighed. I lived in London for some years. Rita waited. Okay. Silence. That's it. What else do you want to know? The response felt strange. Defensive. Guarded. Different. Rita hesitated before asking the next question. Why did you come back to Nigeria? The question changed everything. Immediately, Ethan's expression hardened. What kind of question is that? A simple one. Who has been talking to you? Rita's heart sank. Again. No answer. Only questions. I just want the truth. Ethan stood up and walked toward the window. For several seconds, he said nothing. Then he finally spoke. Sometimes people leave places because they need a fresh start. Rita frowned. What does that mean? It means exactly what I said. Ethan. He turned toward her. There are things in my past I'm not proud of. The statement made her stomach tighten. What things? Ethan looked away. Nothing dangerous. Then why are you avoiding the question? For the first time since she met him, he seemed uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. Can we talk about this another day? The answer bothered Rita more than anything else. Because Ethan was never the type to avoid difficult conversations. Yet here he was. Avoiding one. Rita stood up. Okay. Rita. No. She forced a smile. We'll talk later. As she walked away, Ethan remained standing by the window. Watching. Thinking. Worried. Back at the hostel, Isabella couldn't stop thinking about Ethan. The more she tried to move on, the more curious she became. Nothing about him made sense. A man who pretended to be poor. A man who suddenly revealed wealth. A man who proposed only months after meeting Rita. Something wasn't right. That evening, she made a decision. She called an old friend. Hello. Isabella. I need a favor. What kind of favor? I need information about someone. Her friend laughed. Investigation. Something like that. Who? Ethan. There was a brief pause. Your ex. We never dated. Then why are you investigating him? Just do it. Her friend laughed again. You still like him? Shut up. Send me his details. After ending the call, Isabella smiled. Soon. Very soon. She would know exactly who Ethan really was. The following day, hundreds of kilometers away, a plane landed at Murtala Muhammad International Airport. Passengers slowly walked through the arrival terminal. Among them was a beautiful young woman wearing dark sunglasses. She pulled a suitcase behind her. Confident. Elegant. Purposeful. She stopped near the exit and removed her sunglasses. Then she reached into her handbag and pulled out a photograph. The picture showed Ethan. The woman stared at it for several seconds. A sad smile appeared on her face. So you really came back to Nigeria? She picked up her phone and dialed a number. The call connected immediately. Hello. He's here. Are you sure? Yes. The woman looked down at the photograph again. I found him. Back at school, Rita tried to focus on her studies. But she couldn't. Something about Ethan's reaction kept bothering her. Every time she remembered his face when she asked about London, her anxiety grew. By evening, Joy noticed. You talked to him? Rita nodded. And? He admitted he lived abroad. Joy looked surprised. So the caller wasn't lying? No. What else did he say? Rita hesitated. Not much. What do you mean? He avoided most of the questions. Joy frowned. That's not good. I know. The room became quiet. For the first time, Rita felt a tiny crack forming in the perfect image she had built of Ethan. Meanwhile, at his mansion, Ethan sat alone in his study. A glass of water sat untouched on his desk. His phone suddenly rang. He glanced at the screen. Unknown number. He answered. Hello. The voice on the other end made him freeze. A voice he hadn't heard in years. Hello, Ethan. His heart stopped. Impossible. No. It couldn't be. Slowly, he stood up from his chair. Vanessa. The woman smiled as she stood outside the airport. Missed me. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then Ethan finally whispered. What are you doing in Nigeria? Vanessa's smile widened. We need to talk. The line went dead. Ethan stared at his phone. The color had completely drained from his face. Because if Vanessa was in Nigeria, then the secret he had worked so hard to bury was about to come back to life. And this time, there would be nowhere left to hide. The call ended, but Ethan remained frozen in his study. His phone was still pressed against his ear. Vanessa. The name alone was enough to bring back memories he had spent years trying to forget. Slowly, he lowered the phone and sat down. His mind was racing. How had she found him? Why was she in Nigeria? And most importantly, what did she want? Meanwhile, at a hotel in Victoria Island, Vanessa stood by the window of her room, staring at the Lagos skyline. A confident smile rested on her face. She knew Ethan would be shocked. She expected it. After all, the last time they had spoken, neither of them had imagined they would ever see each other again. She picked up the framed photograph she had carried all the way from London. It was an old picture. One taken years ago. Back when life was simpler. Back before everything fell apart. Back when she and Ethan had plans for a future together. Vanessa sighed. Let's see how long you can keep running from the past, Ethan. The next morning, Rita woke up exhausted. She barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she remembered the anonymous caller's warning. Ask him what really happened abroad. The words refused to leave her mind. Joy noticed her mood immediately. You didn't sleep. Rita forced a smile. I'm fine. No, you're not. Joy sat beside her. Are you still thinking about Ethan? Rita nodded. I don't know what to think anymore. Have you talked to him since yesterday? No. Maybe you should. Before Rita could reply, her phone buzzed. It was Ethan. Almost immediately, she answered. Hello. Good morning, beautiful. His voice sounded normal. Too normal. As if nothing had happened. Morning. Are you free today? Why? I want to see you. Rita hesitated. Okay. Good. I'll pick you up by noon. After the call ended, Joy looked at her carefully. Are you going? Yes. And you're going to ask him the questions? Rita nodded. This time, I need answers. By noon, Ethan arrived. His luxury SUV pulled up outside the hostel. Students immediately began whispering. Most of them already knew him as Rita's wealthy fiancé. As Rita entered the car, Ethan smiled warmly. But she noticed something. He looked tired. His eyes seemed restless. Almost as if he had spent the entire night thinking. You okay? She asked. Why wouldn't I be? You look stressed. He laughed softly. Business. Rita wasn't convinced. The drive continued in silence. Eventually, they arrived at a quiet restaurant overlooking the water. After placing their orders, Rita decided not to waste time. Ethan. I want us to talk honestly. His smile faded slightly. Okay. You said there were things in your past you're not proud of. Ethan looked down at the table. Yes. What things? For several moments, he didn't answer. Finally, he sighed. When I lived in London, I trusted the wrong people. Rita listened carefully. I went into business with some friends. And things went wrong. How wrong? They betrayed me. The pain in his eyes looked genuine. I lost money. Only money. Ethan hesitated. The pause did not escape Rita's attention. No. What else? My reputation. Rita frowned. What happened? Ethan looked away. There were accusations. Accusations of what? Financial fraud. Rita's heart skipped. What? I didn't do it. His voice was firm. But my name was dragged into it. The restaurant suddenly felt too quiet. So that's why you left? Ethan nodded slowly. I came back to Nigeria to start over. For the first time since the anonymous call, Rita felt some relief. His explanation sounded believable. But something still felt incomplete. Is that everything? Ethan forced a smile. More or less. More or less. Not exactly yes. Not exactly no. Again. Elsewhere, Isabella sat impatiently inside a cafe. She was waiting for her friend Chinedu. The same friend she had hired to investigate Ethan. A few minutes later, he arrived. Without wasting time, Isabella leaned forward. What did you find? Chinedu smiled. You really want to know? Stop playing. He dropped a file on the table. Isabella immediately opened it. The first few pages contained business records, photographs, travel documents. Then she stopped. Her eyes widened. What is this? A woman. A woman. Her name is Vanessa. Isabella's heartbeat quickened. Who is she? Chinedu shrugged. That part is still unclear. But she seems very important. Isabella stared at one particular photograph. The picture showed Ethan and Vanessa standing together in London. They looked close. Very close. Too close. Interesting, Isabella whispered. Very interesting. That same evening, Vanessa sat in the lobby of her hotel when someone approached her. Vanessa. She looked up. A smile appeared on her face. Ethan. For a few seconds, neither moved. Years of history stood between them. Finally, Ethan sat down. What do you want? Straight to the point. Typical Ethan. Vanessa laughed. No hello. No. Still angry. You traveled across continents. Tell me why. Vanessa folded her arms. You disappeared. Ethan stared at her. That's why you're here. No. Then why? Vanessa's smile disappeared. I'm here because someone is about to make the biggest mistake of her life. Immediately, Ethan knew who she meant. Stay away from Rita. The warning came instantly. Vanessa laughed. There it is. What? The concern. Ethan's expression hardened. Leave her out of this. You really love her. I said leave her out of this. For the first time, Vanessa looked hurt. You never spoke about me like that. That was years ago. The words hit harder than Ethan realized. Vanessa lowered her eyes. Then she looked up again. Does she know? Ethan became still. Know what? You know exactly what. Silence. Vanessa smiled sadly. That's what I thought. Then she stood up. Tell her the truth before someone else does. Without another word, she walked away, leaving Ethan alone with his thoughts and his fears. The next few days passed quietly. Too quietly. Rita focused on school. Joy prepared for exams. Isabella continued her investigation. And Ethan became increasingly distracted. Then one afternoon, everything changed. Rita was leaving the library when someone called her name. Rita. She turned around. A beautiful woman stood a few meters away. Elegant. Confident. Familiar. But Rita couldn't remember where she had seen her. Yes. The woman smiled. Can we talk? Do I know you? Not yet. Something about the answer felt strange. The woman extended her hand. My name is Vanessa. The moment Rita heard the name, she noticed something. Vanessa's smile. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't hostile either. It was the smile of someone who knew something she didn't. "What do you want?" Rita asked. Vanessa studied her for a moment. Then she reached into her handbag. She pulled out an old photograph and handed it over. Rita looked down. The color drained from her face. It was Ethan, standing beside Vanessa. The two of them looked incredibly close. His arm rested around her waist, and on Vanessa's finger was a sparkling engagement ring. Rita slowly raised her head. "What is this?" Vanessa's expression remained calm. "A piece of Ethan's past." Rita's hands trembled. "What are you talking about?" Vanessa took a deep breath. Then she delivered the words that changed everything. "Before Ethan met you." She paused. "He was supposed to marry me." Rita's heart stopped. And suddenly, every secret, every unanswered question came rushing back. Rita stared at the photograph in her hands. For a moment, it felt as if the world around her had disappeared. Students walked past them. Cars drove by. Voices filled the air. Yet all she could see was Ethan. And the woman standing beside him. Vanessa. The engagement ring on Vanessa's finger sparkled under the sunlight. Rita looked at the picture again, hoping she had misunderstood something. But there was no mistake. The Ethan in the photograph was younger, but it was definitely him. His arm was around Vanessa's waist. They looked happy. Comfortable. Like two people planning a future together. Slowly, Rita lifted her eyes. "What is this?" Vanessa sighed. "I was hoping Ethan would tell you himself." "Telling me what?" "That we were engaged." The words hit Rita like a slap. "No." Vanessa nodded. "Yes." Rita immediately shook her head. "No. Ethan would have told me." Vanessa gave a sad smile. "Would he?" Rita opened her mouth but couldn't find the words. Deep down, she remembered all the times Ethan had avoided questions about his life abroad. The pauses. The incomplete answers. The uncomfortable expressions. Suddenly, they all made sense. "Why are you telling me this?" Rita finally asked. Vanessa folded her arms. "Because you deserve the truth." "The truth about what?" "About Ethan." Rita's heart was pounding. "What exactly happened between you two?" Vanessa hesitated. For the first time, her confidence seemed to crack. "We were together for almost 4 years." Rita felt a knot form in her stomach. 4 years. Vanessa nodded. "We met in London. And at first, everything was perfect." She looked away briefly. Then his business problem started. Rita listened carefully. The fraud accusations. Vanessa's eyes widened slightly. "So he told you that part?" "Only a little." Vanessa laughed bitterly. "Of course he did." "What does that mean?" "It means Ethan is very good at telling half the story." Rita's heart sank. "What aren't you telling me?" Vanessa took a deep breath. The accusations destroyed everything. Was he guilty? Vanessa remained silent. "Answer me." "I honestly don't know." The answer surprised Rita. "You don't know?" "No." "How is that possible?" Vanessa looked down. "Because I stopped believing him." The admission filled her with guilt. "When everyone started accusing him, I panicked." "So you left him?" Vanessa nodded slowly. "I was young." "You abandoned him." The words came out harsher than Rita intended. Vanessa accepted them. "Yes." Silence followed. Then Rita asked the question that had been bothering her. "If you left him, why are you here now?" Vanessa looked directly into her eyes. "Because I made a mistake." Rita's stomach tightened. What kind of mistake? The kind that keeps you awake at night. Meanwhile, Ethan sat inside his office staring at his laptop. He wasn't working. His mind was somewhere else. His phone suddenly rang. It was Joy. Immediately, he answered. Hello. Ethan. Something in her tone made him sit upright. What happened? Where are you? My office. You need to find Rita. Fear instantly settled in his chest. Why? Joy hesitated. Then she spoke. Because Vanessa found her first. Ethan jumped to his feet. What? Rita is with Vanessa. The phone nearly slipped from his hand. Without another word, he grabbed his car keys and rushed out. At the same time, Isabella sat inside a cafe reviewing the investigation file Chinedu had given her. The more she read, the more confused she became. Something wasn't adding up. According to the records, Ethan wasn't just wealthy. He was extremely wealthy. Far wealthier than anyone had imagined. Several companies. Properties. Investments. Yet he had willingly allowed people to believe he was poor. Why? She flipped through another page. Then suddenly froze. There it was. Vanessa's name. Again. And again. And again. Clearly, she wasn't just some random woman. She had been important. Very important. Before Isabella could continue reading, her phone rang. It was Joy. Hello. Where are you? A cafe. Forget the cafe. What happened? Vanessa met Rita. Isabella immediately stood up. Oh no. Back at the park, Rita and Vanessa continued talking. You said you made a mistake. Vanessa nodded. I did. What kind of mistake? Vanessa swallowed hard. When the accusation started, everyone abandoned Ethan. Rita listened silently. His business partners turned against him. What about his friends? They disappeared. And you? Tears appeared in Vanessa's eyes. I left too. The confession hung heavily between them. Why? I was afraid. Afraid of what? Everything. Vanessa wiped her face. I was afraid my life would be ruined. So you chose yourself? Yes. Rita didn't know what to say. For the first time, she saw genuine regret in Vanessa. I thought I was protecting myself. And now I know I lost the best thing that ever happened to me. The honesty caught Rita off guard. Vanessa laughed sadly. The funny thing is, months later, the accusations were proven false. Rita's eyes widened. What? Vanessa nodded. He was innocent. The words echoed in Rita's head. Innocent. So Ethan had been telling the truth. He never forgave me. Vanessa smiled weakly. And honestly, I don't blame him. Before Rita could respond, a familiar voice interrupted them. Vanessa. Both women turned. Ethan stood there. His expression was unreadable. Vanessa sighed. You're here. Ethan looked at Rita first. Are you okay? Rita nodded slowly. Then she looked at him. Why didn't you tell me? The question hurt more than any accusation. Ethan closed his eyes briefly. I wanted to. When? Silence. After the wedding. No. Then when? Ethan struggled to answer. Because the truth was simple. He had been afraid. Afraid that his past would change how Rita saw him. Afraid that she would leave. Just like Vanessa had. I was waiting for the right time. Rita laughed bitterly. The right time. I'm sorry. The apology sounded genuine. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. How long were you planning to keep this from me? Ethan looked away. I don't know. The answer hurt. Rita shook her head. I trusted you. I know. You asked me to marry you. I know. And yet there are huge parts of your life I know nothing about. Ethan couldn't argue. Because she was right. Every word. That evening, Rita returned to the hostel emotionally exhausted. Joy and Isabella were waiting. The moment she entered, both girls stood up. What happened? Rita dropped onto the couch. I met Vanessa. The room became silent. And Rita sighed. She was Ethan's fiancée. Joy gasped. Even Isabella looked shocked. What? They were engaged. The room exploded with questions. Engaged? For how long? Does Ethan know? What happened? Rita raised her hand. Please. Immediately, everyone became quiet. Then Rita explained everything. The fraud accusations. The betrayal. The broken engagement. Vanessa leaving him. The truth finally coming out. When she finished, nobody spoke for several seconds. Finally, Joy sighed. Wow. Even Isabella looked thoughtful. So Ethan was innocent all along. Rita nodded. Apparently. For the first time, Isabella didn't make any sarcastic comments. Instead, she sat quietly. Thinking. Processing. Because for the first time, she was beginning to understand Ethan. The pain. The walls. The secrecy. None of it came from arrogance. It came from heartbreak. Later that night, Ethan sat alone on the balcony of his mansion. The city lights stretched endlessly before him. Yet he barely noticed them. His thoughts were with Rita. He knew she was hurt. And honestly, she had every right to be. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. A text message. Unknown number. Ethan frowned. Then he opened it. The message contained only one sentence. His blood ran cold instantly. You may have escaped London, but this time the truth is coming for you. Ethan stared at the screen. A second message arrived. Then a third. Attached to the final message was a photograph. The moment he saw it, his face drained of color. Because it wasn't a recent picture. It was evidence. Evidence connected to the darkest chapter of his life. A chapter he prayed would never return. And now someone was threatening to expose it. The photograph trembled in Ethan's hand. For several seconds, he simply stared at it. His heartbeat pounded loudly in his ears. No. This couldn't be happening. Not now. Not after everything he had worked so hard to rebuild. The photograph showed an underground parking garage in London. At first glance, it looked ordinary. But Ethan knew exactly where it had been taken. And exactly what had happened that night. A night he had spent years trying to forget. The unknown sender followed up with another message. Thought you buried this. A second message appeared almost immediately. Tell Rita the truth before I do. Ethan stood up abruptly. His chest tightened. Someone knew. Someone who shouldn't know. Someone who had been watching. He quickly dialed the number. The phone rang twice before the call connected. Hello. David. Ethan. I need to see you. His friend immediately noticed the tension in his voice. What happened? It's back. Silence. Then David spoke. No. Yes. Are you sure? Ethan looked at the photograph again. Very sure. Where are you? Home. I'm coming. Meanwhile, Rita sat on her bed staring at the ceiling. Sleep refused to come. Her conversation with Vanessa kept replaying in her head. She wanted to be angry. She wanted to feel betrayed. But somehow, she couldn't. Because after hearing the full story, she understood why Ethan struggled to talk about his past. Being abandoned by everyone you loved wasn't something a person easily forgot. Especially when the accusations against you turned out to be false. Still, why hadn't he trusted her enough to tell her? That question hurt. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. "Come in." Joy entered carrying 2 cups of tea. "I knew you'd still be awake." Rita smiled weakly. "You know me too well." Joy handed her a cup. The 2 friends sat quietly for a moment. Then Joy spoke. "Do you still love him?" The answer came immediately. "Yes." "Then what are you going to do?" Rita sighed. "I honestly don't know." Joy nodded. "Fair enough." A few moments later, Joy smiled. "You know something?" "What?" "I think Ethan genuinely loves you." Rita looked at her. "You do?" "Yes." "Even after all these secrets?" Joy shrugged. "People hide things for different reasons." The word stayed with Rita long after Joy left the room. The following morning, Isabella sat alone in a cafe scrolling through the investigation file. The more she read, the more uncomfortable she felt. For weeks, she had convinced herself that Ethan was showing off to make her jealous. Now she wasn't so sure anymore. Every report described the same thing. A hardworking businessman. A respected entrepreneur. Someone who had quietly built an empire after returning from abroad. Nothing suggested he was the arrogant man she had imagined. For the first time, guilt crept into her heart. Maybe she had been unfair. Maybe her jealousy had blinded her. Her phone suddenly rang. It was Richard. She rolled her eyes. Then rejected the call. Immediately, he called again. And again. And again. Finally, she answered. "What?" "Good morning, beautiful." "Richard, I'm not in the mood." "Still angry?" "Shouldn't I be?" Richard sighed. "Can we meet?" "No. Please. Your wife almost turned me into a local celebrity." Richard laughed nervously. "I'm serious." "So am I." Before he could reply, Isabella ended the call. She was tired. Tired of drama. Tired of complications. Tired of chasing things that always seemed to bring problems. For the first time in years, even the soft life was beginning to feel exhausting. At Ethan's mansion, David arrived exactly 30 minutes later. The moment he entered the study, he knew something was wrong. Ethan looked pale. Worried. Distracted. "Show me." Without speaking, Ethan handed him the phone. David read the messages. Then his expression darkened. "Who sent this?" "I don't know." "You think it's one of them?" Ethan rubbed his forehead. "I was hoping we'd never hear from them again." David sat down heavily. "So was I." Silence filled the room. Neither man wanted to say the words out loud. Because doing so would make the threat feel real. Eventually, David looked up. "Does Rita know?" "No." "Will you tell her?" Ethan stared out the window. "I don't want to lose her." David sighed. "You might lose her anyway if she hears it from someone else." The statement hit hard because it was true. Very true. Later that afternoon, Rita received a message from Ethan. "Can we meet?" After hesitating for several minutes, she finally agreed. An hour later, they sat together in a quiet garden restaurant. The atmosphere felt different. Heavier. Neither knew how to begin. Eventually, Ethan broke the silence. "I'm sorry." Rita looked at him. "For what exactly?" "For not telling you everything." She nodded slowly. "Why didn't you?" Ethan sighed. "Because I was afraid." "Of me?" "No." "Then what?" "Of losing you." The honesty surprised her. Ethan continued. Rita, when everyone abandoned me, I learned something. What? People love you when things are good. His eyes became distant. But when things go wrong, most people disappear. Rita listened quietly. Vanessa wasn't the only one who left. The pain in his voice was impossible to ignore. My friends disappeared. My business partners disappeared. Even some family members disappeared. He smiled sadly. After that, trusting people became difficult. For the first time, Rita fully understood. Not just the facts. The emotions. The wounds. The fear. Still, one question remained. Ethan. Yes. What exactly happened that night? Immediately, his expression changed. What night? The night in London. Ethan froze. Rita noticed. The reaction lasted only a second. But it was enough. There is something else, isn't there? Ethan looked away. Silence. Then silence again. Finally, he nodded. Yes. Rita's stomach tightened. What? Before Ethan could answer, his phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen. Unknown number. Again. His heart dropped. Immediately. Rita noticed his reaction. Ethan. He didn't answer. Instead, he opened the message. The color drained from his face. What happened? Slowly, Ethan handed her the phone. Rita looked down. A video file had been sent. Along with a short message. Show this to your fiancé. Confused, Rita pressed play. The footage was grainy. Clearly recorded years ago. A parking garage. Several men arguing. Shouting. Then suddenly. A gunshot. Rita gasped. The video shook violently. People started running. And then the recording ended. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Finally, Rita looked up. Her voice was barely a whisper. Ethan. He closed his eyes. Because he knew exactly what she was about to ask. Were you there? The question hung heavily between them. Ethan slowly opened his eyes. Then he gave the answer he had been dreading for years. Yes. Rita felt her breath catch. What happened? Ethan looked away. His voice was low. Painful. Haunted. Someone died that night. The world seemed to stop. And suddenly Rita realized that the secrets Ethan had hidden were far bigger than she ever imagined. Across town, a mysterious figure sat inside a packed car watching photographs of Ethan and Rita. The person smiled. The plan was working. Very soon, Ethan's perfect life would begin to crumble. And when the full truth finally emerged, nobody would be prepared for the consequences. The moment Rita heard Ethan's words, her entire body went cold. Someone died that night. The sounds of the restaurant seemed to disappear. The chatter of other customers faded into the background as she stared at the man sitting across from her. Ethan looked completely different. Not because his face had changed, but because the confidence she was used to seeing was gone. For the first time since she met him, he looked afraid. Genuinely afraid. Rita slowly placed the phone on the table. What do you mean someone died? Ethan rubbed his forehead. It's a long story. I think we're past the point of short stories. Her voice wasn't angry. It was hurt. And somehow that hurt Ethan more than if she had shouted at him. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Finally, Ethan sighed heavily. Years ago, when I was living in London, I started a technology company with 3 friends. Rita listened carefully. We weren't rich back then. You built everything together? Yes. His eyes became distant as memories flooded back. We were ambitious, young, hungry. A sad smile appeared on his face. We believed we would change the world. What happened? Success happened. Rita frowned. What does that mean? It means money entered the picture. His expression hardened. And money changes people. The pain in his voice was obvious. The company started growing quickly. Investors came in. Contracts started coming. So things became complicated. Very. Ethan leaned back in his chair. At first, we were all brothers. And then, greed. The single word carried years of bitterness. One of my partners started moving money without authorization. Rita's eyes widened. Stealing. Yes. And nobody knew. Not immediately. Ethan sighed. When we finally discovered it, everything exploded. What happened to him? He blamed me. The answer shocked Rita. What? He forged documents. Why? To protect himself. Rita couldn't believe what she was hearing. And people believed him. Ethan laughed bitterly. At first, yes. His hands tightened into fists. Do you know what it feels like when people suddenly look at you like you're a criminal? Rita remained silent. Friends stopped calling. Investors disappeared. Business partners vanished. He looked down. And the woman I planned to marry walked away. Rita immediately thought about Vanessa. The hurt in Ethan's eyes made it clear he had never fully recovered from that betrayal. At the hostel, Joy sat on her bed studying when Isabella walked in carrying several shopping bags. Again. Joy looked at the bags. Isabella dropped them proudly on the floor. A girl must enjoy herself. Joy shook her head. You and shopping are in a serious relationship. Better than dating poor men. The joke was automatic. But surprisingly, neither of them laughed. The tension between Isabella and Rita still lingered. Joy closed her textbook. Can I ask you something? What? Are you still angry at Rita? Isabella pretended not to care. I'm fine. That's not what I asked. The room became quiet. Finally, Isabella sighed. I don't know. What do you mean? Joy watched her carefully. For the first time in a long while, Isabella looked vulnerable. I just feel stupid. Joy was surprised. Why? Because I rejected Ethan. The confession finally came out. The truth she had been avoiding. The truth everyone already knew. He asked me out first. Joy said nothing. And I laughed at him. Her voice became softer. I judged him. Joy nodded. Yes. And now he's engaged to my best friend. Silence. Then Isabella laughed sadly. Maybe God was teaching me a lesson. Meanwhile, Rita and Ethan remained seated at the restaurant. The conversation had become more serious. What happened after the accusations? Rita asked. Ethan took a deep breath. The police investigated. And they eventually discovered I was innocent. Relief washed over Rita. So your name was cleared? Yes. Then why did you come back to Nigeria? The question caused Ethan to pause. Because the answer wasn't simple. My reputation was damaged. Rita frowned. But you were innocent. That doesn't matter. He shook his head. Once people believe something bad about you, some of them never change their minds. The statement felt painfully true. So you left? Yes. Ethan stared out the window. I wanted a fresh start. A fresh start. A place where nobody knew my past. Rita nodded slowly. For the first time, she understood why Ethan had worked so hard to hide parts of his life. Not because he was ashamed of being poor, but because he was afraid of being judged. Just like Isabella had judged him. Just like Vanessa had abandoned him. Just like the world had turned against him. Still, something felt missing. One important piece. The mysterious video. Ethan. The shooting. Immediately, his face changed. What about it? You still haven't explained that. A shadow crossed his eyes. I was hoping we wouldn't get there today. We are already here. Ethan looked away. The memory clearly haunted him. Finally, he spoke. The night of the shooting was the night everything collapsed. Rita's heart tightened. What happened? Ethan swallowed hard. We had arranged a meeting. Who? The business partners. And there was an argument. His voice became lower. People were shouting. About the missing money. Yes. Rita listened carefully. The man who stole the money knew he was about to be exposed. What did he do? Ethan's expression darkened. He brought a gun. The word sent chills through her. What? He was desperate. Rita couldn't believe it. This isn't the kind of thing people forget. No. Ethan's voice was barely above a whisper. It isn't. Elsewhere, inside a luxury hotel, Vanessa sat alone reviewing old photographs. Pictures of happier days. Pictures of a younger Ethan. Pictures of dreams that never came true. She sighed. Regret had become a constant companion. A knock suddenly sounded at her door. She frowned. I wasn't expecting anyone. The knock came again. Vanessa approached cautiously and opened the door. Nobody was there. Confused, she looked around. Then she noticed an envelope lying on the floor. Her name was written across the front. Immediately, she picked it up. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. Slowly, she opened it. Inside was a single photograph. The moment she saw it, her face drained of color. No. Her hands started shaking. Because the photograph wasn't recent. It was from the night of the shooting. And someone had written a message across it in red ink. You should have kept quiet. Vanessa's breathing became heavy. Someone was watching. Back at the restaurant, Rita's phone suddenly rang. It was Joy. She answered immediately. Hello. Rita. Joy sounded worried. What happened? Come back to the hostel. Why? It's Isabella. Rita sat upright. What about Isabella? She got into trouble. Immediately, Ethan stood up. What happened? Rita asked. Joy's voice trembled. Richard's wife came here. The color drained from Rita's face. And there was a fight. What? Just come quickly. The call ended. Rita grabbed her bag. Ethan was already reaching for his car keys. Let's go. Within minutes, they were speeding toward the hostel. Neither of them knew that this was only the beginning. Because somewhere in Lagos, hidden behind tinted windows, a mysterious figure watched photographs of Ethan, Rita, Vanessa, Isabella, and Richard spread across a table. The figure smiled slowly. Every piece was moving exactly as planned. The secrets. The betrayals. The misunderstandings. Everything was falling into place. And soon, a truth buried for years would finally be exposed. A truth powerful enough to destroy lives.